She didn't just cheat on me. She sold the truth.
My wife Jessica stood in our kitchen doorway, her perfectly manicured fingers gripping a coffee mug like it was evidence in a homicide trial. From now on, Max, I decide when we spend time together. Stop bothering me with your pathetic attempts at conversation. That was 3 weeks ago. You'd be amazed how quickly a home turns into a library when you're not allowed to speak. The silence has been golden. Literally. I've saved a fortune on couples therapy. I'm Max Barrett, 37 years old, structural engineer for Heller Construction. I design buildings that don't fall down, which apparently makes me more reliable than my marriage. My wife Jessica manages the prestigious Meridian Art Gallery downtown, where she spends her evenings hosting private showings that somehow never include me. If sarcasm burned calories, I muttered to myself while making breakfast, I'd have a six-pack by now. Jessica breezed through the kitchen in a cloud of expensive perfume and entitlement. She wore a silk scarf I'd never seen before, cream-colored with delicate blue trim. As she grabbed her keys, I caught a glimpse of embroidered initials in the corner. Ida. Working late again? I asked, breaking my own rule about not bothering her. She didn't even look back. Don't wait up. Some of us have important work to do. The front door slammed with the finality of a judge's gavel. I stood there holding my coffee, wondering when exactly my wife had transformed from the woman I married into this cold, dismissive stranger who treated our home like a hotel and me like an inconvenient roommate. My phone buzzed. Tommy Kowalski, my best friend and former police detective turned private investigator, had sent a text. Beer tonight? You look like you need it. I texted back, how can you tell how I look through a phone? Married guy intuition. Murphy's Tavern, 7 o'clock. At work, I buried myself in blueprints and stress calculations, finding comfort in the predictable laws of physics. Steel beams don't lie, concrete doesn't cheat, and load-bearing walls actually bear their load instead of sneaking around behind your back. Miss Heller, my boss, stopped by my desk around 4. She's a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who built her construction company from nothing and has zero patience for drama. Barrett, you look like hell. Everything okay at home? Just peachy, I said, not looking up from my drawings. My wife has implemented a new communication policy. I'm now on a need-to-know basis, and apparently I don't need to know anything. Sounds like she's doing you a favor, Miss Heller said dryly. Maybe you'll finally finish the Morrison project on time. That evening at Murphy's Tavern, Tommy was already 3 beers deep when I arrived. He's built like a fire hydrant with a mustache, and his detective instincts are sharper than a prosecutor's closing argument. So, he said, sliding a beer across the sticky table. Tell Uncle Tommy what's eating you. I filled him in on Jessica's recent behavior. The late nights, the mysterious phone calls, the general treatment of me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. Sounds like she's got herself a side project, Tommy said, taking a long pull from his beer. You want me to look into it? No, I said quickly. I don't want to be that guy who hires a private investigator to spy on his wife. Fair enough. But if you change your mind, my rates are reasonable and my discretion is legendary. I was about to respond when I heard a familiar laugh from across the bar. Jessica sat in a corner booth with her best friend Mara, their heads bent together in conspiratorial whispers. They hadn't seen me yet. Isn't that your lovely wife? Tommy asked, following my gaze. Before I could answer, Jessica's voice carried across the room. She was talking to Mara, but her words hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. Eric says the private showings are going better than expected. He has such refined taste, and he's not afraid to take what he wants. She laughed again, that same laugh I used to love. Max is so clueless. He actually thinks I'm working late. Mara giggled like a teenager sharing secrets. How long has this been going on? Months, Jessica said, twirling that cream-colored scarf around her finger. Eric gave me this last week after a particularly intensive private viewing. The man has excellent taste in everything. My hands clenched around my beer bottle. Eric Dwyer, Jessica's boss at the gallery, 42 years old, married, drives a BMW that costs more than most people's houses and apparently has been enjoying private viewings with my wife. Tommy noticed my expression. Easy there, killer. Don't do anything stupid. But I wasn't feeling stupid. For the first time in weeks, I was feeling clear, crystal clear. I stood up and walked over to their booth. Jessica looked up, and the color drained from her face like water from a broken pipe. Max, what are you doing here? Apparently, I'm getting an education, I said calmly. Don't let me interrupt your discussion about Eric's refined taste and intensive private viewings. Mara suddenly found her drink fascinating. Jessica's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "It's not what you think," she started. "Really? Because I think my wife is having an affair with her married boss and bragging about it to her friend in a public bar. Please correct me if I'm wrong." Jessica's shock quickly morphed into defiance. "You know what, Max? Yes, I am. Eric appreciates me. He values what I bring to the table. He doesn't treat me like a roommate he barely tolerates." "Interesting perspective," I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. "Here I thought I was treating you like a wife I was trying to save a marriage with. My mistake." I turned and walked back to Tommy, who was watching the whole scene with professional interest. "Well," he said as I sat down, "that was enlightening. What's your next move?" I drained my beer and set the bottle down with deliberate precision. "I'm going to give Jessica exactly what she wants. She decides when we spend time together, remember? I think it's time we spent some time apart, permanently." The next morning, I called in sick to work and drove straight to the office of Patricia Henley, the best divorce attorney in the city. Her reputation for being thorough and ruthless preceded her like a storm warning. "Mr. Barrett," she said, reviewing the notes I'd given her, "based on what you've told me, we have grounds for infidelity, which in this state means you're entitled to a favorable settlement. Do you have any evidence of the affair?" "Just what I overheard last night, but I'm sure there's more to find." "Leave that to me. In the meantime, I'll draw up the papers. How do you want to handle this? Quiet and civilized, or do you want to make a statement?" I thought about Jessica's words, her casual cruelty, the months of being treated like an inconvenience in my own home. Let's make a statement. 3 hours later, I had divorce papers in my hand and a plan in my heart. I drove to Jessica's gallery, parked outside, and waited. At exactly noon, I walked through the front door. The Meridian Art Gallery was all white walls and pretentious lighting, the kind of place where people whispered about artistic vision while sipping wine that cost more than my work boots. Jessica stood near the back, discussing a painting with a client. She looked beautiful and sophisticated, every inch the successful gallery manager. She also looked like a stranger. I walked up to her, interrupting her conversation with a polite smile. "Excuse me, I need to speak with my wife for a moment." The client, a well-dressed woman with too much jewelry, looked annoyed at the interruption. Jessica's face went pale. "Max, what are you doing here? I'm working." "I know, you're always working. That's why I wanted to bring you these in person." I handed her the manila envelope containing the divorce papers. "Consider it a private showing of our marriage's final exhibition." Jessica stared at the envelope like it might explode. "What is this?" "Divorce papers. You said you decide when we spend time together. I've decided we don't need to spend any more time together at all." The client was watching with undisguised fascination. Other gallery visitors had started to notice the commotion. Jessica's voice dropped to a harsh whisper. "You can't do this here. You're embarrassing me." "Embarrassing you?" I laughed, and it came out louder than I intended. "Jessica, you bragged about your affair in a public bar. I think your embarrassment threshold might be higher than you realize." "Keep your voice down," she hissed. "Why? Are you worried Eric might hear about this? Don't be. I'm sure he'll find out soon enough when his wife gets her copy of the papers. Infidelity is such a messy business, legally speaking." Jessica's face went from pale to red. "You fool. You can't prove anything." "We'll see about that." I turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, and Jessica, don't bother coming home tonight. I've changed the locks." It was a lie, but a satisfying one. The look on her face was worth every penny I'd paid Patricia Henley. I was halfway to my car when Jessica burst through the gallery doors, her professional composure completely shattered. "Max, you can't lock me out of my own house." "It's not your house," I called back without stopping. "It's our house, at least until the divorce is final. Then it'll be my house, since you've been too busy with private showings to contribute to the mortgage payments." She ran after me, her heels clicking on the pavement like an angry typewriter. "This is insane. You can't just decide our marriage is over." I stopped and turned to face her. "Funny. That's exactly what you did 3 weeks ago when you told me you'd decide when we spend time together. I'm just following your lead." "That's not the same thing, isn't it? You made a unilateral decision about our relationship. Now I'm making one too. The difference is mine comes with legal documentation." Jessica grabbed my arm. "Max, please, we can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can fix this." For a moment, just a moment, I saw a glimpse of the woman I'd married. Vulnerable, scared, human. Then I remembered her laugh in the bar, her casual dismissal of our marriage, the months of cold silence and calculated cruelty. Jessica, you told your friend that I was clueless. You were wrong. I'm very clear about what's happening here. You made your choice. Now live with it. I got in my car and drove away, leaving her standing in the gallery parking lot. In my rearview mirror, I watched her pull out her phone, probably calling Eric to tell him about this unexpected development. Let her call. Let them both panic. After months of being treated like a fool, it felt good to be the one holding the cards. That afternoon, I actually did change the locks. I also packed Jessica's clothes into suitcases and left them on the front porch with a note. Since you've been staying elsewhere so much lately, I thought you might prefer to make it official. Management. Tommy came over that evening with pizza and beer, surveying my handiwork with professional approval. You know she's going to come back, he said, settling into my couch. Probably with a lawyer or the police or both. Let her. I'm not keeping her out illegally. I'm just making it clear that she's not welcome. And if she tries to force her way in, I smiled grimly, then I'll call my friend the private investigator and ask him to document her erratic behavior for the divorce proceedings. Tommy raised his beer in a mock toast. To Max Barrett, who finally grew a spine. To Jessica Barrett, I countered, who's about to learn that actions have consequences. We clinked bottles, and for the first time in months, I felt like I was home. At 2 a.m, I woke to the sound of someone trying to jimmy the front door. I lay in bed listening to the scraping and cursing, then grabbed my phone and crept to the window. Jessica stood on my porch in the dark, using what looked like a credit card to try to slip the lock. I called the police. 911, what's your emergency? This is Max Barrett at 1247 Elm Street. Someone is trying to break into my house. Are you in immediate danger, sir? I'm not sure. The person is still outside, but they're definitely trying to get in. Units are on the way. Stay on the line and away from doors and windows. 10 minutes later, red and blue lights lit up my quiet neighborhood like a Christmas display. I watched from my bedroom window as 2 officers approached Jessica, who was now sitting on my porch steps crying. I got dressed and went outside. Mr. Barrett? The older officer, Sergeant Martinez, according to his name tag, looked tired. This is your wife? Soon to be ex-wife. I served her with divorce papers yesterday and changed the locks. She says she lives here. She did. Now she doesn't. Jessica stood up, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Max, this is ridiculous. I just want to get some of my things. Your things are in the suitcases I left on the porch yesterday, which I notice are gone now. Sergeant Martinez looked between us like he was refereeing a tennis match. Sir, is your name on the deed to this house? Yes, mine alone. I bought it before we were married. Ma'am, do you have identification showing this as your legal address? Jessica fumbled for her driver's license. I could see the moment she realized her mistake. She'd never changed her address on her license. It still showed her old apartment. This is my home, she said weakly. We've been married for 4 years. Marriage doesn't automatically grant property rights, the younger officer said. If your name isn't on the deed and you don't have legal residence established, you can't force entry. But he changed the locks. It's his house, Sergeant Martinez said patiently. He can change the locks if he wants to. Jessica turned to me, her tears now mixed with fury. You planned this. You wanted to humiliate me. Jessica, you humiliated yourself. I'm just refusing to be humiliated with you. The officers were clearly ready to wrap this up. Ma'am, you need to leave the property. If you have belongings inside, you'll need to work that out through your lawyers. After they left, I stood on my porch in the quiet darkness, feeling strangely peaceful. For months, Jessica had controlled the temperature of our relationship, deciding when we talked, when we touched, when we existed in the same space. Now, for the first time, I was setting the boundaries. The next morning brought a phone call from Patricia Henley. Max, I've got some interesting news. I had an investigator do a preliminary background check on your wife and her boss, Eric Dwyer. What did you find? Eric Dwyer is married to Caroline Dwyer, daughter of Judge William Hartwell. Old money, very connected. Eric's been living beyond his means for years, but his wife's family keeps bailing him out. What does that have to do with Jessica? Maybe nothing, maybe everything. My investigator also found some irregularities in the gallery's insurance claims over the past 2 years. Several valuable pieces reported as damaged or stolen, with substantial payouts. I felt a chill run down my spine. You think Jessica's involved in insurance fraud? I think your wife might be involved in something more complicated than just infidelity. I'm going to dig deeper, but I wanted to give you a heads up. This could get messy. It was about to get messier than Patricia could imagine. That afternoon, Eric Dwyer showed up at my construction site. I was reviewing foundation plans with my crew when I saw him standing by the trailer, looking completely out of place in his expensive suit and Italian leather shoes. Mr. Barrett, I'm Eric Dwyer. I think we need to talk. My crew was watching with interest. Nothing breaks up the monotony of construction work like unexpected drama. About what? I asked, not moving from where I stood. About this unfortunate situation with Jessica. I think there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding is that you thought I was stupid enough not to notice my wife was screwing her boss. One of my guys, Big Jim Rodriguez, chuckled. Eric's face reddened. Look, Barrett, you're clearly upset, but there's no need to make this uglier than it has to be. Jessica and we have a professional relationship. Is that what you call it? Because she seemed to think it was pretty personal when she was bragging about your refined taste and intensive private viewings. Eric stepped closer, lowering his voice. You don't understand the situation you're meddling in. There are bigger things at play here than your wounded pride. Enlighten me. Jessica and I work in a very specialized field. We deal with high-value transactions, private collectors, delicate negotiations. Your little tantrum yesterday has put some very important deals at risk. I set down my clipboard and gave Eric my full attention. Are you threatening me? I'm trying to help you understand that this divorce could have consequences you haven't considered. For everyone involved. Big Jim had stopped pretending to work and was openly listening now. Eric noticed and stepped back. Just think about what I've said, Barrett. Some things are better left alone. After he left, Big Jim walked over. Boss, that guy seemed real nervous about something. You want me to keep an eye out? Thanks, Jim. But I can handle Eric Dwyer. Famous last words, as it turned out. The call came on Thursday evening while I was grading foundation plans. My friend Dave Chen, who I'd known since college, sounded uncomfortable. Max, we need to talk. Can you meet me at Brennan's tomorrow night? Brennan's was our usual spot for the monthly poker game with our old college crowd. Sure, everything okay? We'll talk tomorrow. I should have seen it coming. Friday night, I walked into Brennan's to find Dave, Mike Sullivan, and Jeff Morrison already seated at our regular table. No cards, no chips, just three uncomfortable-looking guys nursing beers like they were medicine. This looks serious, I said, sliding into the fourth chair. Dave cleared his throat. Max, we've been friends for 15 years. That's why this is so hard. What's so hard? Mike jumped in. We heard about what happened with Jessica. The divorce, the locks, the scene at the gallery. And we think you're handling this all wrong, Jeff said. You're embarrassing her, embarrassing yourself. It's making everyone uncomfortable. I looked around the table at three men I'd considered my closest friends. Everyone? The wives are upset, Dave explained. They're friends with Jessica. They think you're being cruel and vindictive. Cruel and vindictive? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Jessica's been cheating on me for months, treating me like garbage in my own home, and I'm the villain for filing for divorce. Nobody's saying she's perfect, Mike said. But the way you're going about this, serving papers at her work, changing locks, calling the police on her, it's harsh, man. She tried to break into my house at 2 a.m. It's her house, too, Jeff said. Actually, it's not. My name's on the deed. I bought it before we were married. The three of them exchanged glances. Dave leaned forward. Look, Max, we've talked about this. We think you should consider counseling, maybe take some time to cool off before you do something you'll regret. What I regret is wasting 4 years of my life on a woman who thinks so little of me that she brags about her affair in public bars. That's just Jessica being dramatic, Mike said. You know how she is. Yeah, I do know how she is. Apparently better than I thought. The question is, how do you know how she is? Another exchange of glances. Jeff shifted in his seat. She called Sarah last night. She was upset, crying. She said you've been emotionally abusive for months, that she was afraid to come home. Emotionally abusive. The words hit me like a physical blow. Are you kidding me? She said you gave her the silent treatment for weeks, Dave added. Wouldn't talk to her, wouldn't touch her, made her feel unwelcome in her own home. She told me not to bother her. She said she'd decide when we spent time together. That's not how she tells it, Mike said quietly. I stared at my 3 oldest friends, watching them choose sides in real time. So you believe her version over mine? We believe she's hurting, Dave said. And we believe you're angry enough to make some bad decisions. Bad decisions like what? Like hiring a private investigator to follow her, Jeff said. Like trying to destroy her reputation and her career over a marriage that was probably over anyway. I hadn't hired Tommy to investigate Jessica, but I didn't bother correcting them. And your solution is? Drop the divorce, Mike said. Go to counseling. Try to work it out like adults. And if I don't? The silence stretched long enough to answer my question. Dave finally spoke. Max, we've been friends for a long time, but our wives have to live in this community too. If you keep escalating this situation, making it ugly in public, we're going to have to step back. Step back? We can't be in the middle of this, Jeff said. It's too messy, too complicated. I stood up slowly, looking at each of them in turn. Let me make sure I understand this. My wife cheats on me, lies to me, treats me like dirt, then tells everyone I'm abusive when I file for divorce. And your response is to threaten to end our friendship unless I take her back. Nobody's threatening anything, Mike said. We're just saying, you're saying you believe her over me. You're saying 15 years of friendship means less than keeping your wives happy. You're saying I should accept being cheated on and lied to because the alternative makes you uncomfortable. Dave reached out as if to touch my arm. Max, come on, don't be like this. I stepped back. Don't be like what? Don't be hurt that my oldest friends are taking my cheating wife's side? Don't be angry that you're more worried about your social standing than my well-being? That's not fair, Jeff said. Fair? I laughed bitterly. You want to talk about fair? Fair would be you guys asking if I'm okay. Fair would be you supporting your friend through a difficult time. Fair would be you giving a damn about the truth instead of just wanting the drama to go away. I headed for the door, then turned back. You know what the really sad part is? Jessica's probably counting on this. She knows if she plays the sufferer loud enough and long enough, people will start believing her. And she's right. Max, wait, Dave started. Save it. You've made your position clear. You're stepping back, remember? Consider me stepped back from 2. I walked out of Brennan's and into the cool night air, feeling like I'd just lost more than a marriage. I'd lost the men I thought would stand by me when everything else fell apart. But as I drove home, I realized something else. Jessica hadn't just cheated on me. She'd turned my friends against me, with lies and manipulation. This wasn't just infidelity anymore. This was war. Saturday morning, I called Tommy. I'm ready to hire you, I said without preamble. About time. What changed your mind? I told him about the confrontation with Dave, Mike, and Jeff. About Jessica's version of events and how quickly my friends had chosen sides. She's playing sufferer, Tommy said. Classic manipulation tactic. Make herself look like the injured party so when the truth comes out, people are already invested in her version. Can you prove she's lying? I can prove what actually happened. The rest is up to you. My rate is $500 a day plus expenses. Done. I'll start Monday. In the meantime, document everything. Every interaction, every phone call, every time she shows up at your house. Date, time, witnesses if possible. Already started. Good man. Oh, and Max? Stop talking to your friends about this. They've already shown you where they stand. Monday afternoon, Tommy called with his first report. Your wife's been busy, he said. She's staying at the Marriott downtown, but she's not paying for it. The room is registered to E. Dwyer Consulting. Eric's paying for her hotel? Gets better. I followed her this morning. She went to the gallery, but she wasn't there long. Then she drove to a storage unit facility on the east side. Storage unit? Unit 247. She had a key, spent about an hour inside, came out with a small package wrapped in cloth. Could you see what it was? Looked like a painting or framed artwork. She took it back to the gallery. I felt pieces of a puzzle clicking into place. Tommy, remember what my lawyer said about insurance irregularities at the gallery? Yeah, you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Jessica and Eric might be running more than just an affair. I'll keep digging. But Max, if this is what we think it is, it's bigger than divorce court. We might be talking criminal charges. That evening, Jessica called me for the first time since the night at Brennan's. Max, we need to talk. Talk to my lawyer. This is important. It's about us, about our future. We don't have a future, Jessica. We have a past and a divorce proceeding. Please, just give me 1 hour. I'll come to the house. We'll sit down like adults and discuss this. Something in her tone made me suspicious. Why now? What's changed? I've been thinking about what you said, about consequences and choices. Maybe we can work something out. Work something out? The divorce doesn't have to be ugly, Max. We can be civilized about this. Split things fairly, no accusations, no drama. No accusations? Jessica, you cheated on me with your boss. That's complicated. There are things you don't understand about my work, about the pressures I've been under. Enlighten me. Not over the phone, face to face. Tonight, please. Against my better judgment, I agreed. 1 hour, and Jessica, don't bring Eric. It'll just be me, I promise. She arrived at 8 o'clock, looking nervous and beautiful in a way that reminded me why I'd married her. She wore a simple black dress and minimal makeup, and for a moment I felt the old familiar tug of attraction. Then I remembered her laughing about my cluelessness in the bar. Thank you for seeing me, she said, settling onto the couch we'd picked out together 3 years ago. You said you had something important to discuss. I want to explain about Eric, about what you saw and heard. I saw and heard enough? No, you didn't. You saw what looked like an affair, but it's not that simple. I waited. Eric and I, we have a business relationship. A partnership that goes beyond the gallery. What kind of partnership? Jessica took a deep breath. We acquire artwork for private collectors. High-end pieces, sometimes through unconventional channels. Unconventional how? Some collectors don't want their purchases to be public record. They value discretion above everything else. Are you talking about stolen art? Not stolen, just privately held. Pieces that officially don't exist anymore. I stared at my wife, trying to process what she was telling me. Jessica, that sounds like fraud. It's not fraud if everyone knows what they're getting. Our clients pay premium prices for premium discretion. And the insurance claims? The damaged and stolen pieces from the gallery? Her face went pale. How do you know about that? I know about a lot of things, Jessica. The question is, why are you telling me this now? Because I need you to understand that if this divorce gets ugly, if you keep pushing and investigating and making accusations, you could destroy more than just our marriage. There it was, the real reason for this visit. Are you threatening me? I'm trying to protect you, and me, and Eric. We're all in this together now, whether we like it or not. We're not in anything together. You made these choices without me, but you know about them now. That makes you complicit. I stood up. Get out. Max, please, get out of my house. Now. You don't understand the position you're putting yourself in. These collectors, they don't like exposure. They don't like complications. Are you saying I'm in danger? I'm saying we all are if this doesn't stay quiet. I walked to the front door and opened it. Jessica, I want you to listen very carefully. I don't care about your art fraud scheme. I don't care about your private collectors. I care about getting divorced and moving on with my life. But if you or Eric or anyone else tries to threaten me or intimidate me, I will make it my personal mission to expose everything you've been doing. She stood up slowly. You don't know what you're dealing with? Then enlighten me. Who are these collectors who don't like exposure? For a moment, I thought she might actually tell me. Then her expression hardened. Goodbye, Max. I hope you make the right choice. After she left, I immediately called Tommy and told him everything. Jesus, Max. She just confessed to running an art fraud ring. Did I handle it right? You handled it perfectly, and you recorded it, right? I looked at my phone, still sitting on the coffee table where I'd left it. Damn it, no! Next time. But this gives us a direction. I'm going to focus on that storage unit and see what else I can find. Tommy, she seemed genuinely scared. Not just of getting caught, but of these collectors she mentioned. All the more reason to move fast. If Jessica's in over her head with some serious people, this whole situation could get dangerous real quick. As I hung up, I realized my simple divorce case had just become something much more complicated, but I also realized something else. For the first time since this whole mess started, Jessica was the one who seemed afraid. Tommy's call came at 6 a.m. Tuesday morning. Max, you need to get down here. Storage facility on Riverside Drive. Bring a camera. I found him parked across from East Side Storage, drinking coffee from a thermos and looking grim. What's the situation? Your wife showed up an hour ago with Eric and 2 other guys. They've been loading stuff out of that storage unit. Paintings, sculptures, small crates, professional moving job. They're clearing it out? Looks like it. I got photos of everything, including license plates on the truck they're using. We watched as Jessica emerged from the storage building carrying a small wrapped painting. Even from a distance, I could see she looked stressed and kept glancing around nervously. She's scared, Tommy observed. Question is, of what? My phone rang. Patricia Henley. Max, we have a problem. Eric Dwyer's attorney contacted me this morning. They're claiming you've been stalking and maltreating Jessica, and they want a restraining order. That's ridiculous. I haven't contacted her except when she called me. They say you hired a private investigator to follow her, that you've been making threats about exposing her business dealings. I watched Jessica and Eric load another crate into their truck. Patricia, what if I told you Jessica confessed to running an art fraud scheme? Silence. Then, did you record this confession? No. Then it's your word against hers. Max, if they get a restraining order, it could seriously damage your position in the divorce. You need to be very careful about your next moves. After hanging up, I turned to Tommy. They're trying to get a restraining order against me. Standard defensive move. Make you look like the aggressor so nobody pays attention to what they're really doing. Can they make it stick? Not if we prove they're the ones breaking the law first. The truck pulled away from the storage facility, and Jessica got into Eric's BMW. We followed at a distance as they drove across town to an upscale neighborhood I didn't recognize. Where are we going? I asked. Looks like they're headed for the Hartwell estate. Judge Hartwell? Eric's father-in-law? The same. Interesting place to store stolen artwork, don't you think? We parked down the street and watched as Eric and Jessica unloaded their cargo at a massive stone mansion surrounded by high walls and electronic gates. Judge William Hartwell was one of the most respected jurists in the state, known for his tough stance on white-collar crime. You think he knows what they're doing? I asked. Either he knows, or Eric's got some serious balls storing hot artwork at a federal judge's house. My phone buzzed with a text from Dave Chen. Max, heard about the restraining order. Maybe it's time to back down before this gets worse. I showed the text to Tommy. News travels fast. Your ex-friends are probably getting their information straight from Jessica. She's working the sympathy angle hard. Let her. I'm done caring what people think. Good. Because we're about to give them something real to think about. That afternoon, Tommy presented me with a thick folder of photographs, documents, and surveillance notes. Here's what we know, he said, spreading everything across my kitchen table. Jessica and Eric have been running a sophisticated art fraud operation for at least 2 years. They report pieces as stolen or damaged, collect insurance payouts, then sell the pieces privately to collectors who don't ask questions. How much money are we talking about? Conservative estimate? $2 to $3 million over the past 2 years. I whistled low. That's federal prison time. Gets better. I traced the storage unit rental. It's paid for by a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. These aren't amateur hour criminals, Max. They're running a professional operation. And Judge Hartwell? Still working on that. But I did find something interesting about Caroline Dwyer, Eric's wife. He slid a document across the table. She's been in and out of psychiatric facilities for the past 5 years. Depression, anxiety, substance misuse issues. She's not exactly paying close attention to her husband's business activities. So Eric's been using his wife's family connections and her mental health issues as cover. Looks like it. And Jessica's been the inside person at the gallery, identifying targets and facilitating the thefts. I stared at the photos of my wife loading stolen artwork into a truck. How did I not see this? Because you trusted her. Because you thought you knew who she was. I feel like an idiot. Don't. Feel angry. Feel motivated. Feel ready to take these fools down. That evening, I got a call from Mike Sullivan. Max, I heard about the restraining order. Look, maybe we were wrong to take sides, but this has gone too far. You need to back down before you get yourself in real trouble. What kind of trouble, Mike? Legal trouble. Financial trouble. Jessica's lawyer is talking about suing you for maltreatment, defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress. You could lose everything. I could lose everything, or Jessica could lose everything. What's that supposed to mean? It means maybe you don't know the whole story. I know enough. I know you're obsessed with revenge instead of just moving on with your life. Mike, what if I told you Jessica's been stealing artwork and defrauding insurance companies? I'd say you're making desperate accusations because you can't accept that your marriage failed. I hung up on him. There was no point trying to convince people who had already made up their minds, but Tommy was right. I was angry. I was motivated. And I was ready to take these fools down. Wednesday morning, I made 2 phone calls. The first was to Patricia Henley. Patricia, I want you to contact the FBI's art crime team. I have evidence of a major fraud operation involving stolen artwork and insurance scams. Max, are you sure about this? Once you involve federal law enforcement, there's no going back. I'm sure. The second call was to Miss Heller at work. I need to take some personal time. Maybe a week, maybe more. Everything okay, Barrett? It will be... By Thursday afternoon, FBI Special Agent Sarah Chen, no relation to Dave, thankfully, was sitting in my kitchen reviewing Tommy's evidence file. This is impressive work, she said. Professional surveillance, detailed documentation, clear chain of evidence. Your friend knows what he's doing. He's former police. It shows. Mr. Barrett, I want you to understand what you're getting into here. If we pursue this investigation and it leads to federal charges, your wife could be looking at 10 to 15 years in prison. I understand. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for the media attention, the legal proceedings, the impact on your own life? I thought about Jessica's casual cruelty, her manipulation of my friends, her threats about dangerous collectors. Agent Chen, my wife destroyed our marriage, lied to everyone we know about who was at fault, and then tried to intimidate me into silence. If she's been committing federal crimes on top of that, she deserves whatever consequences come her way. All right then, we'll open an investigation. In the meantime, I need you to avoid any contact with Jessica or Eric Dwyer. Can you do that? Gladly. That evening, Tommy and I sat on my back porch drinking beer and watching the sunset. No going back now, he said. Good. I'm tired of going backward. Your wife's about to find out what happens when you mess with the wrong guy. I raised my beer in a toast. To Jessica Barrett, who's about to learn that some people fight back. To Max Barrett, Tommy countered, who finally remembered how to throw a punch. We drank to that, and for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. The FBI moved faster than I expected. By Friday morning, Agent Chen called to tell me they'd obtained warrants for the storage facility, the gallery, and Eric Dwyer's home and office. We're executing the searches this afternoon, she said. I wanted to give you a heads up in case Jessica tries to contact you. What should I do if she does? Record everything, but don't engage beyond what's necessary. We don't want any defense attorney claiming you entrapped her or coerced a confession. I didn't have to wait long. At 2:17 p.m., my phone rang. Max, what did you do? Jessica's voice was shaking with rage and panic. I have no idea what you're talking about. The FBI is at the gallery. They have search warrants. They're taking everything. That sounds serious. Don't play dumb with me. You did this. You called them. Jessica, I filed for divorce. That's all I did. If the FBI is interested in your business activities, that's between you and them. You fool! You have no idea what you've done. You've destroyed everything. I've destroyed everything? Jessica, I didn't steal artwork. I didn't defraud insurance companies. I didn't cheat on my spouse. All I did was refuse to be a sufferer. These people don't forgive, Max. These collectors, they don't just lose money and walk away. What people? What collectors? But she'd already hung up. Tommy arrived an hour later with updates from his police contacts. The raids were comprehensive, he said. Gallery, storage unit, Eric's house, his office, even Judge Hartwell's place. They searched the judge's house. Turns out he wasn't as innocent as he appeared. They found a whole room full of artwork that's been reported stolen over the past 5 years. Pieces from museums, private collections, insurance claims, millions of dollars worth. I sat down hard. The judge was in on it? Up to his eyeballs. Apparently he was using his position to get inside information on insurance investigations, helping Eric and Jessica stay one step ahead of any official inquiries. Jesus. Gets better. They arrested Eric at his office, Jessica at the gallery, and Judge Hartwell at his home. All 3 are being held without bail pending federal charges. My phone started ringing. Dave Chen. Max, what the hell is going on? Jessica's been arrested by the FBI? There are news trucks at the gallery? Sounds like Jessica's private art business wasn't as legitimate as she claimed. You knew about this? I suspected. I investigated. I reported what I found to the appropriate authorities. You son of a witch, you set her up. No, Dave. Jessica set herself up. I just refuse to be collateral damage. The news is saying she's part of a major art theft ring, that she could be looking at decades in federal prison. That's what happens when you commit federal crimes. How can you be so cold about this? She's your wife. She was my wife. Now she's a defendant in a federal criminal case. There's a difference. Dave hung up on me. Within an hour, I'd received similar calls from Mike and Jeff, all expressing shock, outrage, and blame directed at me for destroying Jessica's life. None of them seemed particularly concerned about the fact that Jessica had been stealing artwork and defrauding insurance companies. They were more upset that I'd had the audacity to report her crimes. The evening news was brutal. Jessica's arrest was the lead story, complete with footage of her being led away in handcuffs and dramatic reports about a sophisticated art theft ring operating in plain sight. The reporter, standing in front of the Meridian Gallery, laid out the scope of the operation. Federal agents say the scheme involved the theft and fraudulent insurance claims on artwork valued at over $4 million. The operation allegedly used a prominent art gallery as a front, with pieces being stored at locations including the home of a federal judge. My phone rang constantly, reporters wanting comments, acquaintances fishing for gossip, and a few genuinely concerned friends offering support. I ignored most of them, but I did answer when Patricia Henley called. Max, I wanted to update you on the divorce proceedings. Given Jessica's arrest and the federal charges, we're in a much stronger position. How so? Infidelity was bad enough, but federal felony charges change everything. We can argue that Jessica's criminal activities constitute marital misconduct that entitles you to a larger share of marital assets. What marital assets? If she's been stealing artwork, won't the government seize everything? They'll seize proceeds from criminal activity, but your house, your legitimate savings, your retirement accounts, those are still subject to divorce court division. And given the circumstances, I expect the judge will be very sympathetic to your position. Saturday morning brought another call from Agent Chen. Mr. Barrett, Jessica Dwyer, she's going by her maiden name now, wants to make a deal. She's offering to cooperate fully with our investigation in exchange for a reduced sentence. What kind of cooperation? Names of collectors who knowingly bought stolen pieces, details about the operation, financial records, everything. She's also willing to testify against Eric Dwyer and Judge Hartwell. And in exchange, instead of 15 to 20 years, she'd probably get 5 to 7 with possibility of parole in 3. I thought about it. Agent Chen, does her cooperation agreement require my consent? No, but I wanted to keep you informed since you're the one who brought this to our attention. I appreciate that. For what it's worth, I think Jessica should face the full consequences of her actions. But if her cooperation helps you catch other criminals, that's more important than my desire for revenge. That's very mature of you, Mr. Barrett. I'm not feeling particularly mature. I'm feeling like justice is finally being served. That afternoon, I was working in my yard when a car pulled up. Caroline Dwyer, Eric's wife, got out and walked toward me. She looked fragile and exhausted, like someone who'd been crying for days. Mr. Barrett, I'm Caroline Dwyer, Eric's wife. I know who you are. I'm sorry about what's happened. Are you? Are you really sorry, or are you satisfied that you've destroyed my family? I set down my rake and looked at her. Mrs. Dwyer, I didn't destroy your family. Your husband did that when he decided to steal artwork and cheat on you with my wife. Eric made mistakes, but he's not a bad man. He was trying to provide for us, trying to keep up with the lifestyle my family expected. By committing federal crimes. By doing what he thought he had to do. Her voice cracked. Do you have any idea what it's like to be married to someone who's constantly judged by your family's standards? My father never thought Eric was good enough for me. Eric was just trying to prove himself. By stealing millions of dollars worth of artwork. By trying to be successful. By trying to give me the life I was used to. I felt a flash of sympathy for her, but it was tempered by reality. Mrs. Dwyer, your husband wasn't just trying to provide for you. He was having an affair with my wife. He was lying to you every day. He was using your father's position as a federal judge to commit crimes. Those aren't the actions of a man trying to save his marriage. She started crying then, deep sobs that shook her whole body. I know about the affair. I've known for months, but I hoped it would end. I thought if I just ignored it, if I just focused on getting better, everything would go back to normal. Mrs. Dwyer, why are you here? What do you want from me? I want you to ask the FBI to go easy on Eric. I want you to tell them he's not the mastermind, that he was just following Jessica's lead. Is that true? She wiped her eyes. I don't know. Maybe? Does it matter? He's still my husband. I still love him despite everything. I can't help you, I said gently. I'm not part of the prosecution. I just reported what I found. Then why did you have to find it at all? Why couldn't you just divorce Jessica quietly and move on? Because she wouldn't let me. Because she turned my friends against me with lies. Because she tried to intimidate me into silence. Because she made this into a war instead of just accepting the consequences of her choices. Caroline Dwyer looked at me with something that might have been understanding. She really hurt you, didn't she? Yes, she did. But not as much as she hurt herself. After she left, I sat on my porch thinking about the collateral damage from Jessica's choices. Caroline Dwyer was innocent, but she was suffering anyway. Eric's children would grow up with a father in federal prison. Judge Hartwell's family would live with the shame of his corruption. But none of that changed the fundamental truth. Jessica had made her choices. Eric had made his. Judge Hartwell had made his. Now they all had to live with the consequences, and for the first time in months, so did I. 3 weeks later, I sat in a federal courtroom watching my wife plead guilty to conspiracy, wire fraud, and money laundering. She wore a simple navy suit and kept her eyes down as the judge read the charges. Mrs. Dwyer, do you understand that by pleading guilty to these charges, you're admitting that you knowingly participated in a scheme to defraud insurance companies and traffic in stolen artwork? Yes, Your Honor. And do you understand that your cooperation agreement with the government does not guarantee any particular sentence, only that your cooperation will be considered at the time of sentencing? Yes, Your Honor. I watched Jessica answer the judge's questions in a voice barely above a whisper. This was the same woman who had stood in our kitchen 3 months ago and told me she decided when we spent time together. The same woman who had laughed about my cluelessness to her friend in a bar. She looked small and defeated. Nothing like the confident, manipulative person who had tried to turn my friends against me. Agent Chen sat beside me in the gallery. She's been very cooperative, she said quietly. Her testimony helped us identify 12 collectors who knowingly purchased stolen pieces. We've recovered over $6 million in artwork and frozen another $2 million in assets. What about Eric and the judge? Eric's fighting the charges, but his case is hopeless. We have him on video moving stolen artwork, financial records showing his involvement, and now Jessica's testimony. He's looking at 20 years minimum. And Judge Hartwell? That's the big fish. A sitting federal judge involved in art theft? He'll get the maximum sentence, probably 25 to 30 years. His legal career is over, his reputation is destroyed, and he'll die in prison. After the hearing, I walked out of the courthouse into bright afternoon sunshine. Patricia Henley was waiting for me on the steps. How do you feel? She asked. Tired, relieved, ready to move on. The divorce will be finalized next week. Given Jessica's guilty plea and cooperation agreement, she's waiving any claim to marital assets. You keep the house, the savings, everything. What about her debts from legal fees? Not your problem. She's a convicted felon now, Max. You're free and clear. That evening, Tommy came over with steaks and beer to celebrate. So, what's next for Max Barrett, private citizen? He asked as we sat on my back deck. I don't know. Maybe travel. Maybe dating. Maybe just enjoying the quiet. No regrets? I thought about it. I regret marrying someone I didn't really know. I regret wasting 4 years on a relationship that was probably doomed from the start. But I don't regret fighting back. I don't regret refusing to be a sufferer. What about your old friends, Dave, Mike, Jeff? What about them? They chose Jessica's lies over 15 years of friendship. They made their choice. You could reach out, explain what really happened. They'll figure it out when they read about the trial in the newspaper. If they want to apologize, they know where to find me. My phone buzzed with a text message. I looked at it and smiled. Who's that? Tommy asked. Miss Heller. She wants to know if I'm ready to come back to work. Says she's got a big project that needs my expertise. You going back? Yeah. I like building things. I'm good at it. And after spending months tearing down Jessica's lies, it'll be nice to create something constructive again. We sat in comfortable silence, drinking beer and watching the sun set over my neighborhood in my house with my life finally back under my control. You know what the best part is? I said finally. What's that? Jessica spent months trying to control when we spent time together. Turns out she was right. She did get to decide. How's that? She decided we'd spend the next 5 to 7 years completely apart while she's in federal prison. Tommy laughed. That's cold, man. That's justice. The next morning, I got a call from Dave Chen. Max, I owe you an apology. I saw the news about Jessica's guilty plea, about the art theft ring. I had no idea. No, you didn't. I should have believed you. I should have supported you instead of taking her side. Yes, you should have. Can we get together and talk? Maybe try to work things out? I thought about it for a long moment. Dave, you made a choice 3 months ago. You chose Jessica's lies over our friendship. You chose social comfort over loyalty. You chose to believe I was an abusive husband rather than ask me for my side of the story. I was wrong. I admit it. Can't we move past this? Maybe someday, but not today. Today, I'm still dealing with the consequences of trusting people who didn't deserve it. Max, come on. We've been friends since college. We were friends since college, past tense. You ended that friendship when you threatened to step back, unless I took my cheating wife back. I hung up and blocked his number. Mike and Jeff could keep trying to call, but I wasn't interested in their apologies either. Some bridges, once burned, should stay burned. That afternoon, I drove to the construction site where we were breaking ground on a new office building. Miss Heller was waiting for me with blueprints and a hard hat. Good to have you back, Barrett. You ready to build something? I looked at the empty lot where we'd soon raise a 12-story building that would stand for decades. Strong foundation, solid structure, built to last. Yeah, I said, putting on my hard hat. I'm ready to build something. 6 months later, I was having dinner at a new restaurant downtown when I saw Caroline Dwyer sitting alone at a corner table. She looked better than the last time I'd seen her, healthier, more composed, like someone who'd found a way to move forward. I walked over to her table. Mrs. Dwyer, Max Barrett, how are you doing? She looked up, startled. Oh, Mr. Barrett, I'm doing better, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. If you don't mind me asking, how did Eric's trial go? 22 years, she said quietly. He'll be eligible for parole in 18. I'm sorry. Are you? You're the one who started all this. No, Mrs. Dwyer. I'm the one who finished it. Eric and Jessica started it when they decided to steal artwork and lie to everyone who trusted them. She nodded slowly. You're right. I know you're right. It's hard to accept that the man I married was capable of all this. What will you do now? I'm getting divorced. I'm selling the house. I'm starting over. She managed a small smile. Turns out there's life after betrayal. Yes, there is. And it's better than the life you had before, even if it doesn't feel that way right now. Did you start over? I'm working on it. Some days are better than others. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd just ignored Jessica's affair? If you'd just looked the other way? No, I said without hesitation. Looking the other way is what got us all into this mess in the first place. Your husband was stealing artwork right under your nose. Jessica was defrauding insurance companies right under mine. Judge Hartwell was corrupting his office right under the justice system's nose. Sometimes ignoring problems doesn't make them go away. Sometimes it just makes them worse. Caroline Dwyer nodded. I think you're right. I think I spent too many years looking the other way. Well, you're not looking away anymore. No, I'm not. I left her to finish her dinner and walked home through the quiet streets of my neighborhood. My house was dark but welcoming, a place that finally felt like home again instead of a battlefield. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my back porch thinking about the past year. Jessica was serving her sentence at a federal facility in Ohio. Eric was in a medium security prison in Pennsylvania. Judge Hartwell was in maximum security in Colorado, his judicial career and reputation destroyed forever. My marriage was over, my old friends were gone, and my life looked nothing like it had 12 months ago. But I was free. Free from lies, free from manipulation, free from the exhausting effort of trying to save a relationship with someone who didn't want to be saved. Jessica had been right about one thing. She did get to decide when we spent time together. She decided we'd never spend time together again. And I was perfectly fine with that decision. The wine was good, the night was quiet, and for the first time in years, I was exactly where I wanted to be. Home, alone, at peace.